Kamala is going to play the race and sex angle as hard as she can, right? Because it's her only route to the nomination. So I don't believe that black women would somehow revolt against the Democrat Party if she's not the nominee. But she will have allies in the media who will write those pieces and try to scare Democrats into making her the choice. And also try to scare other politicians, particularly white men, away from entering into the race at all. I think Gavin Newsom is just a devious. I think he's smart. I think he's calculating. I think he's cocky. I think he's running.
He
no
certainly
matter
thinks
what.
he's smart and calculating and got great hair. I think you have really interesting analysis. Do you want to just give a little bit of this now on why? Because my theory is this: Kamala can't win, and they can't go around Kamala without imploding the Democrat coalition. You don't seem to think that's as much of an issue, which then loosens things up more for Biden to step. Now, again, I've always said if Biden has a true health issue, which could happen, that's a different situation, right? But if he's just actively stepping aside, then that would be, to me, that would be surprising. If he just decides he's not going to run again.
The biggest issue with Kamala not being the nominee is based on Democrat identity politics arguments. It is both racist and sexist for a black woman who is the currently sitting vice president not to be the nominee. And so many people out there, we've talked about this a great deal on the show, find that to be an intractable problem for the Democrats and therefore put Kamala in the seat as the nominee, even though she's a disaster of a politician and a candidate. Now, that's what should happen. Democrats should have to reap what they sow. If you only care about a candidate because of their race and their sex, you should have to put forward an awful candidate based on her race and sex who gets destroyed and effectively ends the identity politics era in the Democrat Party. I think they will sidestep that destruction, which I really do believe would happen if Kamala were the nominee, and instead will end up with somebody like Gavin Newsom, who will beat Kamala head to head. And they will avoid the racism and the sexism arguments because I don't think black women really feel that connected to Kamala Harris. I think that's a narrative that's out there. And look, I'm not a black woman. I don't claim to have some great expertise in black women. But I think black women overwhelmingly support the Democrat Party for the same reason that they voted for Hillary, for the same reason that they voted for Joe Biden and certainly for Barack Obama, because they are now the heartbeat of the Democrat Party. And I think they would support Gavin Newsom at similar levels. Now, Kamala Harris, to me, she is, first of all, not a mother. I think that impacts some of the amount that women like Kamala Harris. She was, whether they want to admit it or not, actually the mistress of a married man. That's how she got her political start, Willie Brown in San Francisco. I think a lot of women see that and they say, I don't like that, because most women are not the mistress, right? Most women want to be with a man and have a family. Kamala doesn't have children of her own, never has had a family, and she's married to a rich white lawyer. She's also of mixed race. While everybody says, oh, she's a black woman, she's Indian and she's black. So I don't think that there would be some mass revolt in the Democrat Party if Kamala Harris is beaten, as I believe she would be. Buck, remember, she dropped out of this race after trying to make her entire campaign, I was the black girl who had to get put on that bus, Joe Biden, you're super racist. She dropped out of the campaign before voting even started at 1%. I think Biden wildly overreacted picking her in the first place.
Here's the issue, though, right? I mean, because I know we keep saying Gavin Newsom. To win an election, he's going to have to win voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Gavin Newsom cannot win those voters.
Oh, I think Gavin Newsom's going to lose. I just think he's not going to lose as badly as Kamala Harris would.
Oh,
lose.
No, that's for sure. But I'm just saying that this goes back to I think Biden is still, I know it's, see, here's my thing. it was crazy to me. I already got burned on this, so I'm probably going to get burned twice. I got burned the first time around.
You thought it was insane that they
I
would
was
even
like,
put him
this
in the
guy's
first
run
time.
3 times. He had to drop out for plagiarism. He's always been a buffoon. Even Democrats know he's an idiot. They brought him on to the Obama ticket so that he could pretend to be a foreign policy expert. Obama's foreign policy was the worst we've seen since Jimmy Carter. I mean, it just seemed impossible. And here we are, right? Who's sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania in the Oval Office? So I thought it was impossible then. I guess it's hard for me to wrap my mind around, well, now it's really impossible for them.
I think whoever James Clyburn selected as his choice in the South Carolina primary would be the nominee, no matter who. If he had said to Mayor Bloomberg's going to be the guy, if he had said before she dropped out, Kamala Harris is going to be the girl, if he had said Mayor Pete, well, I don't think Mayor Pete could have gotten it because I think a lot of people won't vote for him who are in the Democrat base, despite the fact they scream at homophobia at everybody else. Mayor Pete is not going to ever, in my opinion, be the nominee for the Democrats.
And for people who are wondering why
he's a gay white guy.
These dynamics right now about the midterm election are going to play right. We're going to be in the re-election fight starting really
November 9th.
As soon as this thing is over, right? As soon as we know what the election results are.
It's the 2024
So
result,
I know it
race
feels
starts.
like we're getting ahead of ourselves, but the dynamic of where the country politically will be heading, what the face-off will be, is going to be set in 1 month. Now, most importantly right now is getting those in those critical battleground states, getting those senators, enough Republican senators elected that the Biden administration effectively is just in a holding pattern, right, for trying to run a second time around. So we are also making these determinations. Look, if Democrats squeak out holding the Senate, I do think that obviously affects whether Biden would run again, right? So there are some factors here that would shift. I think that would mean that he's even more likely to run. I mean, I still think on balance, they think he's their best option. But that may shift here if you get the red wave that we're talking about as well. That could be very different.
36 days out. I think we're going to get it, Buck. And the other thing is, Kamala is going to play the race and sex angle as hard as she can, right? Because it's her only route to the nomination. So I don't believe that black women would somehow revolt against the Democrat Party if she's not the nominee. But she will have allies in the media who will write those pieces and try to scare Democrats into making her the choice, and also try to scare other politicians, particularly white men, away from entering into the race at all. I think Gavin Newsom is just a devious. I think he's smart. I think he's calculating. I think he's cocky. I think he's running.
He
no
certainly
matter
thinks
what.
he's smart and calculating and got great hair.
Yeah, look, I think all those things are true. I think he's a really bad politician, and I think he thinks what he did during COVID was the right decision, and I think overwhelmingly the nation rejects it.
I think enough they sold Joe Biden to Democrat voters as a uniter, a union guy, a calm things down guy. You could vote for him if you were a steel worker in Michigan. You could vote for him if you were, on the factory floor in Western Pennsylvania or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And they gave us, obviously, AOC policies with Joe Biden. With Gavin Newsom, you're getting Malibu policies, my man. You're getting crazy town.
I get it. But remember, New York and L.A. think that makes sense. And let me also just say, Kamala's campaign, if Biden's not running, is going to sound a lot like Hillary Clinton's did in 2016. She's going to be arguing, I deserve this effectively. I deserve this because I was the VP. I'm the most qualified. I've been a senator. I was the AG of California. And she is going to play harder than anybody has ever played, I think. Not only the woman card, but I'm a minority. And if I don't get this, it's racist and sexist. I don't think the Democrat electorate is going to buy in, but I do think a lot of media will help to propagate that idea. What I'm saying is, I just don't buy that there's going to be some sort of rebellion or some sort of revolution against the Democrat Party by black women if Kamala is not the nominee.
If there is a primary, as Joe Biden is not the nominee and decides he's going to step down, does Hillary Clinton get involved in that primary?
I think that she will want to get involved. I'm not sure what the internal polling would show because I think Hillary would. I'm trying to sit back, Buck. I think Newsom is the best of bad options. There are a ton of Republicans that I could name to you right now and say, hey, I could see a pathway for this guy or this girl to end up the president of the United States based on their track record. I can't even give you a Democrat right now that has, you're right about how they sold Joe Biden. I can't even think of who the Democrat is that they could try to sell. Maybe a guy like Sherrod Brown out of Ohio, who's a senator and like a moderate guy.
We live in conservative world. You got to remember, Democrats still believe Joe Biden got, 80 plus million votes. And you got to take a little walk through crazy town sometimes, Clay. You live out in the sane places.
I get it. I go into crazy town enough, and I just can't find anybody who would be a winner.